It's a question we rarely ask ourselves until reality forces us to. When you're young, it's easy to believe that family will always be there, that your kids will support you, and that old friendships will last forever. But then life happens. Priorities shift. People get busy. The support system you once trusted may not be as reliable as you thought. This isn't about doom and gloom, it's about taking control. Because the truth is, the strongest pillars of support after 65 aren't found in others. They are built within yourself. Today, I'm revealing 7 powerful foundations that will keep you independent, resilient, and truly free, no matter what life throws your way. If you want to enter your later years with confidence instead of fear, keep watching. And before we dive in, drop a number 1 in the comments if you're ready to take charge of your future. Pillar 1. Emotional resilience, the core that keeps you standing. Aging isn't just about adding years to your life. It's about facing a new set of challenges that test your emotional strength. The reality is, no matter how much love your family has for you, they can't always be there to lift you up during tough times. That's why the most reliable source of emotional support is not someone else. It's you. Take Robert, a 72-year-old retired firefighter from Chicago. For over 40 years, he lived with purpose, surrounded by his crew, brothers who had his back through every crisis. But retirement hit him harder than expected. His once busy days turned quiet. His phone, once buzzing with calls, sat silent. And then came the biggest blow. His wife of 45 years passed away suddenly. At first, Robert turned to his children for comfort, expecting them to fill the emptiness. But they had their own lives, careers, and families to care for. They loved him, but they couldn't be his emotional lifeline. And that's when Robert realized, if he didn't strengthen himself from within, no one else could do it for him. So, he made a choice. He started journaling, putting his grief into words rather than letting it consume him. He found a veterans support group where he could talk to others who understood his struggles. He took up boxing, something he hadn't done since his 20s, not for competition, but to release his emotions in a healthy way. Slowly but surely, Robert rebuilt his sense of purpose. He didn't erase his pain. He learned to carry it with strength. That's emotional resilience. It's not about pretending life is easy. It's about finding ways to cope, adapt, and stand tall, even when the ground beneath you shakes. Because in the end, the strongest person in your life isn't your children, your spouse, or your friends. It's the version of you who refuses to give up. Pillar 2. Adaptability. The key to staying relevant. In a changing world, emotional resilience keeps you standing, but adaptability keeps you moving forward. The world doesn't stop evolving just because we get older. Technology advances, social norms shift, and the ways we connect with others change. Those who resist these changes often find themselves feeling left behind, isolated in a world that no longer looks like the one they once knew. That's exactly what happened to Eleanor, a 70-year-old retired teacher from Austin, Texas. For decades, she thrived in the classroom, inspiring young minds with history lessons and personal stories. But after retiring, her world grew smaller. Many of her close friends moved away, and the younger generation seemed absorbed in their screens, speaking in hashtags and emojis she didn't understand. Even simple things, like booking a doctor's appointment, now required an app she had no idea how to use. At first, she resisted. She told herself, "I've lived just fine without all this technology. Why should I change now?" But as time passed, she realized that her refusal to adapt was cutting her off from the world. She was missing out on conversations with her grandchildren, who preferred texting over phone calls. She was losing touch with friends who had moved their gatherings online. And worst of all, she was starting to feel invisible. Then, one day, she made a decision. She wasn't going to let change defeat her. She signed up for a beginner's technology course at the local library, where she learned how to navigate the internet, send messages, and even join virtual book clubs. She got a tablet and started video calling her grandkids, surprising them with her new skills. Instead of clinging to the past, she embraced the present. Now, Eleanor is more connected than ever. She didn't change who she was. She simply adapted to how the world works today. Because the truth is, aging isn't about staying stuck in time. It's about staying open, staying curious, and proving that no matter how old you are, you can still grow, learn, and thrive. Pillar 3. Social connections. The lifeline that keeps you engaged. Adapting to change is essential. But what's the point of embracing a new world if you have no one to share it with? Human connection is not just a luxury. It's a necessity. Studies have shown that loneliness in older adults is as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Without meaningful relationships, life becomes empty, no matter how financially secure or physically healthy you are. That was the harsh reality Walter, a 74-year-old retired mechanic from Denver, faced after his wife passed away. For years, he had been content with just her companionship. They did everything together: grocery shopping, watching old westerns, weekend road trips. But when she was gone, he realized something devastating. He had no one else. His son, who lived in California, called when he could, but their conversations were brief. His neighbors were friendly, but busy with their own lives. The once noisy house was now painfully silent. At first, Walter convinced himself he didn't need anyone. He told himself, "I'm too old to make new friends." But deep down, the loneliness was eating away at him. One day, while sitting alone in a diner, he overheard a group of older men laughing together at a nearby table. Curious, he asked the waitress who they were. She told him they were part of a local men's breakfast club, a group of retirees who met every week to talk about life, sports, and everything in between. With hesitation, Walter approached them. To his surprise, they welcomed him instantly. What started as small talk over coffee turned into genuine friendships. Soon, he was playing cards with them on Wednesdays, going fishing on Sundays, and even taking part in community events. The loneliness that once consumed him faded away, replaced by laughter, connection, and purpose. Walter's story is proof that it's never too late to build new relationships. Your social circle doesn't shrink because of age. It shrinks because you stop reaching out. The key to a fulfilling life isn't just existing, it's sharing your existence with others. Pillar 4. Physical health. The key to your freedom. Having strong social connections gives life meaning. But without good health, even the best relationships can feel distant. Your body is either your greatest ally or your biggest limitation. After 60, every choice you make regarding your health determines whether you stay independent or become reliant on others. That's exactly what Martha, a 69-year-old former nurse from Phoenix, learned the hard way. In her younger years, she was always on her feet, working long shifts, raising 3 kids, and taking care of everyone but herself. She told herself she'd have time to focus on her own well-being later. But later never came. By the time she retired, years of neglect had taken their toll. Climbing stairs became exhausting. Grocery shopping felt like a marathon. Even standing in the kitchen for too long left her aching. She avoided outings with friends because she couldn't keep up. And worst of all, she started to feel like a burden to her children. One night, after nearly falling while getting out of bed, she had a realization. If she didn't take control of her health, she would lose control of her life. She didn't want to rely on others just to do simple things. She wanted to enjoy her retirement, not spend it sitting on the sidelines. So, she made a decision. She started small, walking around her block each morning. Then she joined a senior fitness class at the community center. At first, it was difficult. Her muscles ached, and she felt like giving up. But she pushed through. One day, she noticed she could get up from the couch without struggling. A month later, she could walk longer without feeling winded. Now, at 72, Martha moves with more energy than she had in her 50s. She dances at family gatherings, travels with her friends, and most importantly, she lives on her own terms. Because good health isn't just about adding years to your life, it's about adding life to your years. Pillar 5. Financial stability. Take control of your life. Don't wait for rescue. Maintaining good health gives you the physical freedom to enjoy life. But without financial stability, that freedom can quickly slip away. Nothing erodes independence faster than running out of money. Yet, too many people enter retirement assuming that their children, Social Security, or a last-minute plan will be enough to sustain them. The harsh truth? If you don't take control of your finances, you risk becoming dependent, vulnerable, and powerless over your own future. That's exactly what happened to James, a 71-year-old former truck driver from Nashville. For most of his life, he worked hard, paid his bills, and provided for his family. He wasn't wealthy, but he assumed that when the time came, his kids would help him if he ever needed it. After all, he had helped them plenty over the years. Then, life threw him a curveball. A sudden medical emergency drained his savings almost overnight. When he turned to his children for financial help, he was met with sympathetic but firm responses. "Dad, we're barely making ends meet ourselves." It wasn't that they didn't love him. They simply weren't in a position to save him. For the first time in his life, James felt trapped. He realized he had spent years working hard, but never truly preparing for his own future. He had no backup plan, no steady income, and worst of all, no sense of control over what came next. He had two choices: accept a life of struggle or take charge of his financial future. Determined to turn things around, James made drastic changes. He downsized his home to reduce expenses, learned to budget wisely, and even picked up a part-time job that not only provided extra income, but gave him a sense of purpose. Slowly, he rebuilt his financial stability, not by relying on others, but by relying on himself. Now, James lives without fear. He doesn't worry about unexpected bills, and most importantly, he never has to feel like a burden to his family. Because true financial security isn't about being rich. It's about being prepared. Pillar 6. A sense of purpose. Keeping the fire alive. Financial security provides peace of mind, but true fulfillment doesn't come from just surviving. It comes from having a reason to wake up every morning. Too many people enter retirement thinking it's a time to finally relax, only to find themselves feeling lost, restless, and disconnected from the world. Without a sense of purpose, life begins to feel empty, no matter how much money or free time you have. That's exactly what Diane, a 68-year-old former school principal from Seattle, experienced after retiring. For decades, she thrived on structure, making a difference in the lives of her students and mentoring young teachers. She was constantly busy, always needed, always respected. But the day she walked out of her office for the last time, something inside her shifted. At first, she embraced the slower pace of retirement, sleeping in, watching TV, catching up on books she never had time to read. But as the months passed, she started feeling restless. The days blurred together, and the excitement she once had for life faded. The hardest part? She no longer felt needed. Diane didn't realize it at first, but she was grieving, not for a person, but for the sense of purpose that had defined her for so many years. And she knew that if she didn't find something meaningful to do, retirement wouldn't feel like a reward. It would feel like a slow fade into irrelevance. So, she took action. She started volunteering at a local literacy program, helping adults who had never learned to read. She joined a mentorship program for young women entering the education field. And in the process, she rediscovered something priceless: the joy of contributing, of feeling valued, of making an impact. Now, Diane no longer dreads the silence of retirement. She wakes up each morning with a sense of direction, excited for what the day will bring. Because purpose isn't tied to a paycheck or a title. It's tied to what makes you feel alive. Pillar 7. Lifelong learning. The secret weapon to staying young. Having a sense of purpose keeps your soul alive, but keeping your mind sharp is what keeps you truly young. Aging isn't just about the body. It's about the brain. When you stop learning, stop challenging yourself, and stop being curious, life begins to shrink. The world moves forward, but you stay stuck. The key to staying mentally vibrant isn't about holding on to the past. It's about embracing the future with an open mind. That's exactly what Harold, a 75-year-old former architect from Boston, discovered. For most of his life, his identity was wrapped up in his work. He thrived on problem-solving, designing structures, and constantly learning about new materials and techniques. But after retirement, that constant mental engagement disappeared. At first, he enjoyed the break, catching up on sleep, taking long walks, and visiting family. But soon, something felt off. He found himself forgetting small things, where he left his keys, the names of people he had just met. Conversations started feeling repetitive, and worst of all, he no longer felt challenged. His mind, once razor-sharp, felt dull. He worried that this was just part of getting older, until he realized he had a choice: let his mind decline or actively keep it engaged. So, Harold made a change. He signed up for an online course in modern architecture trends, something he had never explored before. Then, he went a step further and started learning Spanish, something he had always wanted to do but never had time for. He even joined a community chess club, competing against players half his age. At first, it was frustrating. His brain wasn't used to working this hard again. But slowly, he felt the difference. His memory improved, his conversations became richer, and most importantly, he felt alive again. Now, Harold approaches life with the same curiosity he had in his 20s. Because staying young isn't about avoiding wrinkles, it's about never letting your mind grow old. Aging isn't about losing yourself, it's about rediscovering what truly matters. Through emotional resilience, adaptability, strong social connections, good health, financial security, a sense of purpose, and lifelong learning, you build a foundation that no circumstance, no loss, and no change in life can shake. For too long, we've been told that growing older means becoming weaker, more dependent, and waiting for others to take care of us. But the truth is, you don't have to wait for anyone to save you. You have the power to build a life where you never feel powerless. Think about it. When you strengthen your emotional resilience, no setback can break you. When you stay adaptable, the world will never leave you behind. When you nurture friendships, you will never be truly alone. When you prioritize your health, you remain free to live on your own terms. When you secure your finances, you control your future. When you have purpose, every day has meaning. And when you continue learning, you prove that age is just a number. This isn't just about preparing for old age. It's about choosing to live fully at every stage of life. No one else can do this for you. But the moment you decide to take charge, you will never again feel like life is slipping away. Because true happiness in later years doesn't come from waiting for others. It comes from preparing yourself to stand strong, no matter what.